We're just going to ask our speakers to just graciously make your way towards the hallway to have those conversations. All right, so we heard about innovations in Europe as it relates to blockchain. And from our speakers, we heard that it's Europe's opportunity to win. And slow and steady beats the race. And with regulations such as MiCA or MiCA, depending on who's pronouncing it, coming into place, they're setting standards for others to follow. But there's still challenges. There's still challenges as it relates to liquidity and capital investment. So I guess the verdict is out in terms of will Europe continue to be ahead and stay ahead and win the race in blockchain. In the meantime, we have another panel ready to take the stage for an exciting conversation. And they'll be discussing from niche to norm. And I'm just going to wait for the room to settle down a little bit so everyone can hear me make their intros. Awesome. So from niche to norm, exploring crypto payment solutions. I'd like to welcome to the stage Raphael Bloch from the Big Whale. Welcome. Let's give him a round of applause, guys. Oh, we could do better than that. Let's go. Come on. All right. Next on stage is Kang from Reap. Welcome to the stage. And Bibin Babu, you gotta love that name. Bibin Babu, welcome to the stage. Bibin from Paycio. Last but certainly not least, Raj Brahmbhatt from Zeebu, welcome to the stage.
Thank you. Yeah, it's working? Okay, perfect. Thank you very much. Welcome. I'm Raphael Bloch, so the co-founder of the European crypto media, The Big Whale. Since yesterday, we talked about a lot of topics about DeFi, custody, also about arts, finance, but not so much about payments. And I think that payment is probably the biggest topic in this space. Everything started in 2008 with Bitcoin and payments. So it's really cool to talk about payment with you guys. In the last 15 years, we saw a lot of improvement regarding chains, tokens, and also startups which are building a crypto payment system. So I'm glad to have on stage with me, so Kang, co-founder of Reap, also Bibin Babu, co-founder of Paycio, and Raj Brahmbhatt, it's right in this?
Yeah, almost.
Brahmbhatt? Okay.
Almost.
CEO of Zeebu. Just guys, can you briefly introduce your company, and after I have many questions for you.
Hi everyone, I'm Kevin, co-founder of Reap. Very nice to be here. Thank you so much. Reap is a cards and payments technology business. We're headquartered in Hong Kong, but we're serving a global audience of Web3 and blockchain-enabled platforms in order for them to build out card programs and payment programs utilizing our technology and infrastructure.
Hi everyone. Okay, is it working?
No, it's working.
Right. Hi everyone, my name is Bibin Babu. I'm the co-founder of Paycio. We are actually a crypto payment super app, and we call ourselves the simplest crypto payment super app for the last mile. We enable crypto payments using mobile numbers, and we also function offline in the African part of the world where there is low internet penetration, and we're non-custodial.
Okay, thanks. And Raj?
Hey everyone, correctly saying my name, Raj Brahmbhatt. I'm the founder and CEO of Zeebu. Simply put, at Zeebu we have created an institutional-grade payments platform for telecom carriers where we are not just enabling payments as of right now. We plan on taking the various sets of data that we're collecting, creating lending services, and as a whole, creating a suite of financial services that are driven through blockchain that solve problems created by TradFi for institutional-grade telecom carriers around the world.
Okay, thank you very much. I would like to start with a very simple question. So we want to talk about crypto payments. How can you define this? Because we know that there are many ways today to pay in crypto. So I would like to start with you, Raj. What's for you a crypto payment? Means of payments.
I mean, look, to me, a payment is one person rendering a service, or, I mean, it could be P2P, or it could be B2C, it could be B2B. In either case, one person sending value, another person receiving the value. Whether that's in crypto, it's in fiat, it doesn't necessarily matter. It depends on the counterparties and the sender's priorities, right? What they want to use as an asset to do it. When it comes to the crypto industry today, to me, what it means is it's quicker, more efficient, more accessible method of doing payments at a global scale.
Okay. Bibin, for you?
So for me, crypto payments is actually about sending money, because all this while we've been depending on the Visas, the MasterCards. These are not precisely sending money. This is a sending. So how do you send a note digitally, or how do you send a gold digitally? You cannot. Technically, you cannot. So all these Visa, MasterCard / Swift, these have been messages or / instructions, which is actually a message for future settlements. And if you look at it that way, and that's the reason it's expensive, because you're giving instructions so that you settle money later, and hence there is cost of float, there is cost of remittance, there is you need to be creditworthy, etc., etc. And all of this might not be impacting a lot of big players, but it does impact the last mile user and the smaller merchants. And we kind of end up paying, these people end up paying 2.5% and to up to 5-7%. So for me, crypto payments is actually sending money, because when we talk about Bitcoin, / Ethereum / any other crypto, we're actually sending money in that message. So here, message is the money, money is the message. It's not about settling money later on. So for me, it's that, and that's why I'm really, really excited about this entire space. And I've been in the Web2 payment space previous to this, took an exit. What excited me about Web3 payments is exactly this, and I really saw that there is a whole opportunity, and there's a big problem wherein we're going to save major portion of money and instant settlements. And that's what crypto payments does. Okay.
And you, Kevin, and after I have another question.
Yeah, I think there are bits and pieces that I'll take from both of these gentlemen here. By payments itself, I think I generally agree that it is a messaging system, and the information that is being exchanged through this messaging system is what value is being exchanged, right? Doesn't matter what type of medium that it is, card networks, Swift rails, banking rails. You're sending something from point A to point B, and then you're trying to understand what is the value that is being sent, the information exchange that happens. So that's generally how I understand payments. But when it comes to crypto payments, I think that's where I start to blur the lines a little bit, because I truly believe that payments is a little bit more complicated. There are many legs in that process, and it could be a combination of what we consider traditional Web2 payments alongside with what is built on the blockchain and things that are changing rails. It's as if you're taking a route from point A to point B, but sometimes you're using the local roads and sometimes you're taking the highway. So crypto payments can be anything that involves blockchain technology that remits that information through that technology itself. I point to examples like Crypto.com's card. It's a Visa-issued card, but it is also crypto-denominated. So how do you categorize that? Anything that I think involves that particular technology, I understand to be crypto payments.
So it's everything between Visa, MasterCard, and Bitcoin, I am right? I mean, everything you built in the last few years is, everything that we can find between, you mentioned Visa and MasterCard. Are you working with those kind of operators, for example, Raj?
So I think what's important to learn within our industry, I think as a whole, is bridging the gap between TradFi and DeFi, right? It's not really either or. It really needs to be with a approach to bridge the gap, utilize what's good in both industries, and what's been built so far isn't completely shit, right? I mean, we've been using it for decades.
And for example, what is good on the both side?
So on our journey from having 0 clients and $0 volume to having 106 institutional clients and $2.5 billion in transaction volume, we learned a lot, right? And the most important thing I took away is liquidity. Today within Web3, when you try to incorporate more services within your platform, get more intermediaries, with each and every step, there is a crunch in liquidity that increases the time of withdrawals, the time of transaction settlement, etc. And that can only be solved if we truly invite the TradFi markets within Web3.
Okay. On this, Bibin?
I will like kind of reiterate that, of course, I mean, am I anti Visa MasterCard? The answer is no. I very truly believe that there's a way of coexisting. My problem is with the piece of the pie which these people take. And again, probably for well-off folks or big enterprises, it might not matter because their spread is probably 30%, 40%. But that's not what it's for smaller merchants. And I got into Web3 because I really believe it's about giving power back to the people. And when you're giving power back to the people, that doesn't mean that you steal from their plates. So am I happy with what the current scenario, with Visa, MasterCard, doing partnerships with a lot of crypto payment companies? I'll be blunt, I'm not happy at all because more or less what we have done is we're doing the same thing what's been happening and just calling it Web3/crypto. But yes, I mean, having said that, I really believe there's a way of coexisting and finding a midway where all these existing payment rails can coexist with crypto payment rails, and probably somebody like maybe Zeebu or maybe Paycio or Reap would be able to build that kind of a rail wherein wherein we don't need maybe a Visa or MasterCard to do it. And if that day comes, probably that's where we kind of get a level playing ground, and they come and say that, okay, fine, let's coexist and do a better way.
Which chain are you using for all the crypto payments?
Which?
Chain, I mean blockchain protocol are you using?
Oh, right now we're actually building on Polygon, but however we are totally cross-chain and multi-chain.
Okay.
So we will be integrating with almost all proper, good, prominent chains.
Okay. And you, Kevin?
I'll take a more, I think, more balanced product feature approach on this question. Economics aside, I think the existing infrastructure that exists out there, including the card networks, Swift rails, what they do really well is the expanse and reach into the nodes that they have today. I think it doesn't cover a lot of places that we want to be in the future, right? Emerging markets, Latin America, other places. However, for the places that it does serve, it serves with robustness, reliability, and speed. I point to this analogy between the two different worlds. I think of the existing payment networks as subway systems, metro systems that were built a long time ago. You think about the subway systems in London, in Paris, in New York. They're old, they're terrible, but they cover a lot of places.
And they're working.
And they're working. And you look at some of the newer cities that are starting to expand their rail networks and subway systems today, they're new, they're faster, they're more efficient, but they're still growing. It takes time for them to cover the places that they want to cover. So I think if you think about it from that perspective, you're really trying to bridge the gap. You're trading off coverage with the newer technology that comes with a lot of the Web3 payments that we're trying to do. I think in a survival of the fittest world, the latter will become dominant. But I think currently we're in a situation where you have to maintain a status quo and you kind of balance the need of people needing coverage and robustness with the speed that is kind of driving the innovation and the adoption of the Web3 side.
Yeah. And correct me if I'm wrong, but you are working with Visa or MasterCard, right?
We're working on Visa, that's right.
Yeah, with Visa. So for you, this is the best way to bridge the gap between the two worlds. And maybe can you explain us how are you working with them?
We think it is because it's a solution that we found to be working. The way that we work with them is we create cards on the Visa network. And these cards are accepted wherever Visa cards are accepted. And that is generally powerful in the sense that it's accepted in over 190 countries in the world. Whereas if you think about some of the other payment methods within crypto, it could be difficult. It really depends on acceptance, right? So the way that we're bridging the gap is we're working with platforms that have digital assets and cryptocurrencies that sits on their platform for individual users, things like exchanges, wallet service providers, and we tie a card specifically to the assets that they have sitting on that platform. So when they need to spend against it, they are able to access a payment method that is accepted widely.
Okay, but why should I use your services if you are working, I mean, with Visa, MasterCard? Why don't you just, work with maybe the new crypto players because it's easier still to work with Visa?
I think maybe it's a matter of the challenge that we're facing, right? In order for people to get the same level of acceptance of a card product, there's a lot of things to be done. And that's still very much a worthwhile fight. I believe that will come with time. And what we're trying to do is trying to bridge that gap today. What is possible today? So we're leveraging the technology that we have at our fingertips to kind of drive that kind of change.
And so from niche to norms, where are we regarding crypto payments, Raj? We are, still in the niche, right?
Yeah, I think if you look at the panel itself, all three of us cater to some sort of a niche today. But I think it's important to cater to niches because, especially in payments, everyone has, to some degree, a different requirement, right? Our customers are institutional-grade telecom users. They want to be abstracted away from the complicated blockchain stuff as much as possible. They want to upload their invoices, their interconnect agreements, right? The counterparties have to be KYC'd, KYB'd. We need to run KYT services, etc. And I'll let them speak for themselves, but their niche markets have different requirements as well. I mean, the core fundamental still being value transfer, right? And most importantly, instantaneous settlement along with value transfer. But the fundamentals don't change. I think the way the product design is done does change. So I do believe that niches are important when it comes to payment platforms as a whole.
Bibin, on this?
I think currently we're still, at this stage, we're only really scratching the surface. We're not even there. I mean, if you look at the entire digital payment space, we're not even 0.1% of the global market altogether, which also makes me say this, that there's a lot of, as Kevin was mentioning, probably we should find a midway and use the expertise which the old, and I will say old, which is Visa, MasterCard, Swift have actually built, and that comes to our power eventually, that the last mile user doesn't need even maybe a POS machine. The merchant doesn't need a POS machine to receive a payment. Anybody who holds a particular crypto asset should be able to use it in their daily lives. My mom, your father's, even a small kid should be able to, use a crypto asset for doing anything and everything which they intend to do or buy, be it probably a tuition fee for their kids, be probably going anything, buying for your household. That would be my norm, which it should come probably in the next 10 to 20 years. Am I being ambitious? I think no, not at all, because Visa, MasterCard took that kind of a time to reach. I think we should learn from their journey and implement this. At the same time, for a lot of merchants, I would actually urge and request that a lot of merchants should actually start accepting crypto payment as a norm eventually, and this should come really faster, because I'm a fan of the way the likes of Amazon, the Noons build their businesses, but the small retailers will never be able to actually survive in near future, especially because of their everyday low pricing strategy which they have, and if they have to actually compete there and survive, they have to actually get that margin of that 4%, 5%. That's only which can help them sustain. That means, for me, a norm from a business perspective would be those merchants start accepting crypto payments. If not all crypto assets, I'd say probably the top 10 crypto assets around the world. That helps them be liquid as well, real time. and not depend on any other rails.
Yeah. Actually, it's a good point for you. What's the main advantage by using crypto for payments? It's more the liquidity, the instant payment. What's
It's instant payment and liquidity without fail.
I think, back to the question that you asked previously, where we are between niche to norm. I would generally agree we're still probably closer on the niche side, but I think optimistically we're closer to the norm than we think, because I believe we're on this fundamental exponential growth scale where, yes, we're maybe not closer to 1 yet, but tomorrow the rate of growth is going to double. And the rate of growth is going to double again in the next week.
I don't want to be rude, but I think that I heard this maybe 2 or 3 years ago, not from you, but I mean, every year it's more, okay, this is the year, or next year.
We're optimistic.
Well, that's why I'm optimistic. And it's always hard to kind of extrapolate that when you're on the exponential curve yourself, right? You never know. You feel like, oh, we're going pretty fast, and then we'll see what happens.
To support his point a bit more, our clients are telecom carriers, right? Telecom carriers haven't really seen much change in their operations or the way they build things since voice over IP came out around 1995. What was that, 3 decades ago now, almost?
Yep.
And after operating the same way, doing the same thing for 3 decades straight, today they hold digital assets on their balance sheets, significant amounts of them, and they're actively settling their invoices using those digital assets.
Yeah, so they're a huge chunk of the economy, and for some of these folks, it could be, in the most ideal case, like a binary flip. They change their entire industry to be supported by crypto payments or some kind of blockchain payments. And that's why I fundamentally believe we're closer than we think. And once big players start moving this way, what's going to happen is that people are going to close the loop. If large industry players are on board, then the small retailers, individuals, other businesses, adjacent businesses have to support what we're doing. So it becomes a very much 0 to 1 type of flip.
So over the past decade, past 2 decades, we've seen a lot of cell phone service providers come out with mobile money services, right? To some degree, most of them failed, simply because it wasn't real value being transferred amongst all of their users. It was just a number. It was a virtual currency that was moving through their core solution of the mobile money, right? So now that the cell phone service providers themselves and the carriers are adopting blockchain technology for payments, they will be willing to trickle it down to their end subscriber. And cell phone service users are the biggest community in the world because everyone has a phone.
And so payments, it's a matter of technology, infrastructure. So do you think that it will be a more, maybe B2B market or something that we will not see? Or at the end, we will also, feel the difference in terms of UX and stuff like this?
I think it would be B2B to C. And that's what we're achieving for. Trying to achieve. Even at Paycio, that's what we're trying to do. In fact, and most importantly, we've been talking about financial inclusion since the crypto era started. I think we are still far from that, and that will come when the B2B to C model actually gets optimum. And also, when Satoshi talked about global citizenship, it is also about taking your money anywhere and everywhere and doing instant payments, right? And I think we are far from there yet. Because even today, when I go to a country probably like China, or Russia, I have issues using my cards, or other payment instruments. The norm would come when the B2B2C start supporting crypto, accepting crypto, and that's exactly what we're trying to do with Paycio as well. So we're right now active in the UAE, Africa, in Norway. So norm for me is, probably a few years later when we do the same conference, we are not talking about USD and euros, and we're talking about, okay, fine, we made payment using Ether or Solana. This is not a financial advice that hold on to it, but yes, that's norm for me, and that's what I think all of us probably would think on for that. But I'm not saying that we're going to kill Visa, MasterCard / Swift, but we would coexist. That's the norm.
And do you think that CBDC will kill a part of your business, or you will work with those kind of of money?
I think from our perspective, we will follow the money, as in we'll follow the customers. If CBDCs are successful in any jurisdictions in which they're launched, and our customers, specifically the B2B2Cs, are interested in this type of system, then we will be supporting that. I think we see that the same way as any fiat currency. If you all of a sudden added another G10 currency, would any financial institution not support that currency? I would highly be doubtful that anyone would say yes to that. So, yeah.
So CBDCs essentially pose a threat to stablecoins, right? Specifically speaking. For us, that doesn't really affect us at all. But going back to your earlier point, B2B adoption versus P2P or B2C adoption, I think when it comes to newer products, practices, and technologies, us as humans, we rely on groupthink for adoption to spread. And for these specific components, we usually rely on larger institutions to prove credibility and set the norms for the technology. And I think that's the phase we're in right now. First, the larger corporations that have a larger risk appetite to try new things will try it, see the value in it, and then eventually it'll trickle down to the end consumer.
I think we would, as an organization, we are totally okay with CBDCs getting prominent. As correctly mentioned by Raj, it's not a threat to the crypto ecosystem. It's a threat to probably, of course, to the stable coins ecosystem. But that also brings in a lot of adoption and trust with the common people. So that's a good thing. And I've always been a fan of self-custody of your money, but not a fan of anonymity. So CBDCs, I look at it in that perspective, that CBDCs actually solve that problem too. So you bring in the crypto and the crypto aspect of it, the blockchain aspect of it, but anonymity gets killed. Because I'm pretty sure, we did a research actually, and with a sample size of 40,000 plus people, of them 98% were not keen on having an anonymous, they're totally away from anonymity. All they want is self-custody and less payment fees. So with CBDCs, I think that the rate of adoption would increase. And I think more CBDCs and probably ETFs should also come.
Okay, thank you very much. We can take, if you have any question, maybe 1 or 2 questions. Don't hesitate to raise your hand. Yep, over there.
So we're actually actively working on that, on implementing, consulting services, technologies to enable cell phone service providers around the world to give their subscribers direct access to blockchain wallets, ensure that all of the wallets are KYC'd. And overall, it starts with the education piece, right? Because mobile money today is pretty much just virtual currency moving around a closed loop network. Instead, we want to move it to the point where whenever you get $10, you actually have $10. It's not just a virtual number. So I think it starts from the education piece, then developing the technologies to kind of adapt towards the customer needs, and then implementation. That's the route we're taking. So it starts with the education piece. After that, it goes to adapting the technologies to the end consumer's needs, and then implementation.
I think Raj almost answered the entire question, but I would just add that for us, it starts with keeping them in the same ecosystem which they're comfortable with, but bringing them onto Web3. So, and that's what even at Paycio we are doing. So we still do offline crypto payments in Africa, right? So that's exactly what the ecosystem they've been comfortable with, and they know it. It's just that and I think eventually for mass adoption, we as Web3 need a smartphone era. And the smartphone era is almost close by. So yeah, that's my answer to it. You want to add, Kevin?
We inherently are very much B2B, so we'll take a behind-the-scenes, top-down kind of approach. We don't want the end customer experience to be really affected, but fundamentally, if the infrastructure behind the scenes can allow them to experience better cost, more trust, more security, that's the way that we would approach it, and we'll work with those brands, work with those platforms that we're working with today to be able to do that.
Thank you very much. Last question, if you have. Yep, at the back. Yeah, maybe.
Right. I mean, so for us at Zeebu, we've been institutionally focused, right? We're coming out with a B2C strategy as we move along the roadmap. But along with instantaneous settlement, another problem for institutions today is working capital. So enabling insured and uninsured factoring and lending services for these businesses and connecting retail lenders to those businesses to cut down the cost of capital would be a larger innovation we can see next. As a whole, within the money markets within Web3.
I see an ecosystem of deviceless payments coming into play, wherein identities would be decentralized, and so would your payments would be. So you wouldn't be eventually having your mobile devices also to go and make payments. Leave aside the cards of Visa and Mastercard. That's one innovation which I see happening in this space.
I think this is a little bit counterintuitive, but I think transparency, like crypto literally means hidden in certain old languages, but I do think the technology in and of itself allows us to be able to make things more traceable, make things more transparent, allow us to do better KYC and things of that nature, so that we can really integrate things into the traditional payment system and make things above board, as you say.
Thank you very much. Yeah, you can applaud them. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everybody.
And, yeah, if you have any question, you'll be around this afternoon, right? Okay, cool. Thanks.
Great job, guys. Another round of applause, please.